All right, all right, all right. Thank you, thank you. It's your boy Claymore Rain. We back at another one, another plug. Everybody take a seat. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out. You know what it is when we step in the building and we talk this talk. Keeping it 100 and unbiased, but let's be factual about what we're speaking about, right? Hey, thanks to all my subscribers. Thank you for all the support, that I'm getting up to this point. This is a new channel, new platform. I'm hoping to, provide you guys the information you guys need to make your own decisions about the topics we're talking about, right? And at the end of the day, they are opinions, my opinions specifically, right? But just some perspective to add to your arsenal when you're deciding on how you're going to approach these situations that we're looking at, right? Big fight night last night. Big fight last night. What a card. Shout out to Showtime Boxing. Showtime Boxing showed up last night in their final boxing event that they were showing with obviously PBC fighters on the platform. What a great job. The whole card was an exciting card. Well worth the money spent on the pay-per-view. And if you got it in other ways, I'm sure you appreciated the time you spent watching those fights. I don't know where to start, man. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I want to maybe we should just start at the bottom of the card, right? So what do we have at the bottom of the card? We had Lamont Roach fighting Luis Garcia, who was defending his super featherweight WBA belt, I believe. And a fight that was, I'll be honest with you. If you guys don't know who Hector Garcia is, he's the gentleman who fought Gervonta Davis last, right? Right before Gervonta, was it last? No, it wasn't last. Right before the Ryan Garcia fight. I apologize. So before the Ryan Garcia fight, Gervonta Davis had a fight with Hector Garcia, and he was the gentleman who got hit, and in between rounds didn't come out to the next next round because he couldn't see anything. Right? Supposedly, Gervonta hit him so hard that the boy went temporarily blind, and the match was stopped. And coming into this match, he did go up to 135 pounds to fight Gervonta, so he's normally 130 pounds super featherweight, and he went back to his weight class where he was a WBA champion, taking that belt off of Chris Colbert, actually, if you guys are familiar with Mr. Showtime, I believe. The Executioner, I don't know, B-Hop, that's what it is, B-Hop. I don't know if he holds that name anymore, being that belongs to Bernard Hopkins, but for a moment in time, he was known as B-Hop, right? Chris Colbert. And he took that belt off of him, and he was defending it. This will be his first defense against Lamont Roach, who's also been waiting for a while to get at this belt. Well, Lamont Roach came very aggressive. Lamont Roach really came aggressive, cutting off the ring. It seemed that Hector Garcia really, in my opinion, was trying to slow this fight down, really like bring it into like almost a Shakur Stevens type of approach, trying to see if he can keep the fight I don't want to say boring, but let's just say slow it down. Just wanted to really counterpunch and catch Lamont Roach coming in, work with his jab and keep him outside. But Lamont Roach was not having it, finding a way to get inside of all of that traffic and making some connections. Ultimately, in the 12th round, ended up knocking Hector Garcia down, and it turns out a very vital knockdown as one of the judges had the fight, I believe, 116-111, which I thought was a closer to how I was scoring it. And the other two judges had it 114-113 either way. One had it 114-13 for Hector Garcia, and obviously the other one had it for Lamont Roach, which gave Lamont Roach a split decision victory, and he is now the new super featherweight champion. The knockdown in the 12th round, some people have issues with it because they believe that Lamont Roach hit him in the back of the head. I mean, I think it was pretty clear that he did hit him in the back of the head, but at the same time, protect yourself at all times. What Hector Garcia presented to him is what Lamont Roach had contact with, right? I don't think it was on purpose, but ultimately, if it wasn't for that knockdown, we might be having a different conversation today, which lets you know, when you come in to take it from the champion, you got to take it from the champion. There's nothing fair. When you're coming into the champion's building, you can't take it by an inch of your hair. You got to really make it a profound statement to the judges if you're going to be dealing with the judges or knock, the guy out. So regardless, congratulations to Lamont Roach, the new crowned WBA super featherweight champion. Be interested in seeing where he goes forward with his career and what his next matches might be. Then the next fight we had on the card was in between, was a junior welterweight fight, right? And this was between Subriel Matias, ranked about number 5 right now in the in that division, and he was going against I don't know if I'm going to say his name right, but I'm going to say Sojan Ergashev, and I know I got the last name right, but we all know who it was. Sergachev is a knockout artist, right? This guy really goes in there and does the work, coming into the ring at 23 wins, I believe 20 knockouts, Matias comes in the ring, 19 wins, 19 knockouts, 1 loss, right? So we kind of anticipated going into this fight to see a shootout, right? We knew it was going to be a shootout. Both these guys plant their feet and dig in and try to stop their opponents. Well, when the fight started, Ergachev was very aggressive, really letting his shots go and really trying to let Matias knows that, this is not going to be a night like you've had before. You're not going to be able to stand up to my power. And, watching the fight, it was just like, oh, wow, it was really an aggressive, intimidating approach. But, kudos and credit to Matias, who just weathered that storm, kept his high guard up and just let Ergachev have at it and just kept the counter punching to a minimum and just let him kind of figure it out. And I think he was just really testing and feeling the power just to understand what he was dealing with. I would say about towards the end of the second round, you started seeing that Matias started to break him down to the body and really had these tight hooks and uppercuts on the inside that was really starting to frustrate Ergachev and ultimately discouraging him to attack the way he was, and actually started going backwards. Matias actually started walking him down, and Ergachev was just trying to let it go, but ultimately you saw that he was trying to get away from Matias. But Matias, I believe, crippled him somewhere in the third round with a good body shot that just really had him on a retreat for the most of the fight, and ultimately ended up discouraging the fighter from coming back out into the fight. I think it was around the 5th round. Went back to his corner, and Ergachev started complaining about his legs hurting, which didn't make much sense to me. What seems like was hurting more than anything was his heart. It looks like his will to live, his will to survive, really overwhelmed him, and he decided that he wasn't going to come back out into the fight. Matias walks away while Ergachev gives the nomas and defense and has a very successful defense of his IBF title. Now, Subriel Matias, to me, is the boogeyman of the one. I'm crowning him myself. I don't know what everybody else's opinion is, but to me, he is the boogeyman of that division, of that junior welterweight division. This man has a Benavidez vibe about him, energy about him, where he's just coming through with punches and bunches with bad intentions. Very, very dangerous fighter. I believe he was the fighter a couple of fights ago, maybe a couple of years ago, that actually, a fighter died after getting in the ring with him, right? So this guy has bad intentions, and high risk, low reward, right? Because he hasn't built that type of name for himself yet, as far as being a big money fight or some star to the sport on that nature. But he holds a lot of risk because it's going to be very difficult to get through him. And when you look at his record, it speaks for itself, right? So today, Subriel sits at 20 wins, 1 defeat, and 20 knockouts. So, that's a lot to digest and process if you're going to get in the ring with somebody like that to to make a decision how you're going to approach it, and if he's worth your time. He does, like I said, sit on the IBF belt. So, all roads to a unification, or all roads to undisputed, go through him right now. So he's going to be difficult to duck if you want to unify. So the division's been put on notice. Last night was just another notch on the belt. He has a division on notice, and we'll see who he fights next. I personally think I would like to see him against a Richard Hitchinson. That's what I'm seeing right now for myself. And why? Because, I noticed that he gets hit a lot, and I think it's more so a setup. I'm wondering if I don't think he's necessarily just getting hit against his will. I think he's kind of accepted it, kind of how Gervonta Davis's approach is. I'll take one to give you two type of feeling. So I want to see him against somebody like a Richard Hitchinson who'll stay disciplined, who will focus on controlling the distance and cause. I want to see Subriel make some adjustments, and I want to see what he looks like when he makes adjustments before I can put him up there with the top guys in the division. Also, I think ultimately the big fight in that division seems to be him and Gary Antoine Russell, in my opinion. It seems like that would be the one. I think they both should just, Gary's kind of building his thing up right now. He's 17 wins, 0 defeats, and 17 knockouts. I mean, pretty much speaks for itself. I think those guys run through the division, collect belts, meet up, and there's a mega fight that is brewing to happen between them to unify that division. So, but if they fight early, so be it. I'm here for it. I think they are the two most dangerous guys in that division. Some people would say Gary's the boogeyman. Either way, both those guys at some point will cross each other's lanes, I will hope. Whether it's here or it's at 147, those guys are going to be something to deal with. So keep an eye out for Subriel Matias. Big puncher, exciting fighter. And we're really looking forward to seeing them. Now, the fight of the night for me, the big fight of the night, or if you want to look at it as the star of the show, because, I'll say the star of the show was Charlo last night. Charlo coming in, not knowing what to expect from Charlo. It was a very what are we going to get from him? Building up to the fight, Charlo just really gave this energy as if he wasn't that concerned about how this fight went, and made us nervous to see what kind of Charlo we were going to see. Let's keep in mind that his brother, combine that with the fact that his brother gave the performance he did against Canelo Alvarez, that we weren't too sure what this brother was going to come in, not fighting for 2.5 years, and just taking, when he was speaking, was taking Jose Benavidez very lightly, right? And then we compound that with the night before the fight during the weigh-ins. He came in 3.5 pounds over, 3.4 pounds overweight. He actually went back. They gave him an opportunity to cut the weight, and he came back actually 2 ounces heavier than he went in. So, he went and had a water or a sandwich or something and just completely disregarded the weight, the catch weight limit of 163, and just came out there and had a take it or leave it attitude, very nonchalant attitude about it. Just made me kind of nervous about what I was going to see the next night. They were able to settle whatever disputes they had in a financial compensation type of way, where I believe that Charlo and the Benavidez family came to an agreement that he'd pay $75,000 per pound, which put him, around, $260, $270 when it was all said and done. That was paid out to Jose Benavidez. So Jose Benavidez was made whole, and the fight went as it was, with him at 166 and change, and Jose coming in at 161.5, I believe. So as the fight goes, it starts. You see that Charlo is working a jab that is just laser beam accurate. He's working jabs, and before you know it, the third round comes around, and he's working in hooks and uppercuts, and he's doing combinations. He's going up and down. He's jabbing to the body. He's throwing hooks to the body, hooks to the head, uppercuts to the head. He's just letting it all go, and just seemed like everything that Charlo threw at the wall last night stuck. And ultimately just dominated Jose Benavidez, and just, impressed me, and I'm pretty sure impressed the boxing world and community, because we didn't expect him to show out that way. And, he had a great dance partner to help him look good. Jose Benavidez, being the dog that he wasn't on the, he wasn't on his bicycle. He was standing in the paint, fighting back. But, Charlo ended up just getting the better. Just like I said, he couldn't do anything wrong that night. And in my opinion, it put the 160-pound weight division on notice. Put 168 on notice. He basically put everybody on notice that he is here and he's a serious threat to anybody's reign. And he's looking for all the big fights. So look out for Jamal Charlo to actually, begin to make a name for himself and becoming another potential competitor or opponent for maybe a Canelo Alvarez or David Benavidez, or you can just go up and down the list. Even defending his titles that he holds at 160. I think personally, he still has to figure out the weight thing, right? Because we got to keep it real. Him being at 166 pounds and change, coming into a catch weight of 163-pound fight, that was kind of disrespectful. Not respecting the sport the way we would expect him to. But he seemed to acknowledge it for the most part and just say, listen, he's going to do better next time, and he's just coming back after 2.5 years off. I think the most important thing for him was that he was actually able to come off with those rounds, right? Those rounds are very important for him, coming from that long layoff, to be able to have somebody who's going to really make him work. And he did. He mentioned it in the post conference. As a matter of fact, he said even though Jose was playing a little dirty, it was good work, because Jose was hitting him in the back of the head and in his back, in his ankle. He said anywhere that Jose could try to affect him, hit him, hurt him, discourage him, distract him, Jose did that. And I think another big word that describes what Charlo showed last night in that ring was composure, right? A lot of composure, for somebody who's supposedly not mentally all there, who's, distracted by so many things going outside the ring, in a lot of controversial situations as far as his interactions with Caleb Plant and things of that nature. Inside of that ring, he was very, very composed. Very composed. It made the biggest difference. And that's what gave me the most hope about what to see in this man's future. So let's see what Charlo has planned next. I'll be here to see what's going on. I don't know who. Maybe I'll make another video who I think he should fight next. I haven't really thought about it just yet, like that much, but just wanted to put out the content, of the reaction as soon as possible. But, look out to see what Charlo's going to do next. He did put his name into the basket of Canelo, put his, his little card in the basket and the hat, and was like, pick me. He's very interested in a Canelo fight, and it seems like he may be interested in the David Benavidez fight as well. So I'll say one thing: those guys might want to take him on earlier rather than later, because from my eyes, my eye test says the more time you wait, the better he's going to get, the more acclimated he's going to become to boxing again, and the more of a threat, the higher level of a threat he becomes for anybody. So those guys who are interested in fighting him, get him earlier rather than later, because this man looks like he's trying to come back like he never left. All right, now going into the main event of the evening. Wow. David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade. So let's first start off with what I pictured going into the fight. Going into the fight, I thought that Andrade had a very awkward style. I thought he was going to give David Benavidez different looks and cause and force David Benavidez to potentially have to make some adjustments. Because I mentioned in an older video that David Benavidez, up to this date, has had a very Errol Spence-ish trajectory, right? And what do I mean by that? Let's get deeper into that. Errol Spence was somebody who came into the welterweight division and found a lot of success being powerful, high pressure, breaking his opponents, and really didn't have to adjust too much to what was going on around him, because the fighters that were coming in front of him just weren't able to weather that storm. So he didn't have to, find a fighter that was giving him issues or certain unique looks that made him have to fight different. He was able to really fight on their level and beat them at their own game. He went to Sean Porter and outdogged the dog. You know what I'm saying? Kell Brooks just, pressure and broke him. Even Ugas, even after the accident with Ugas, just outdogged the dog, right? Just broke him. But ultimately, when he came into the ring with Terrence Crawford, all of us had the same questions. We all understood that Crawford faced enough adversity to where he could adjust, and he would adjust to certain things happening in the ring, and it was going to make the fight that much more interesting. But at the same time, we didn't know if that held the same for Errol, because Errol never had to adjust. So going into this fight, I thought that that Boo Boo was going to provide that to David Benavidez, give him different looks and different adversities to deal with that was going to force him to adjust, and we were going to get a chance to see David Benavidez showcase his boxing IQ, right, and his talent in a different way outside of just pressure, punches and bunches, high quantity in punches, and ultimately breaking his opponent. Well, I'll tell you what, I expected that. I did lean towards David Benavidez to win the fight because I feel like he's the true 168 pounder, like really trying to go to 175 to fight the likes of Bivol or Beterbiev. So I expected him to be the stronger guy. With Boo Boo, I thought his awkwardness, his slick movement, and being able to turn David Benavidez, and also the most important thing I thought was important for Boo Boo Andrade was that he was going to be able to make David Benavidez pay, on the mistakes that he made, because he does stand kind of square. His footwork has been criticized to not be as good as it should be. So I thought Boo Boo would have been able to take advantage of those things, and we were going to get to see David Benavidez really show the world that no matter what the situation he's in, that it's a dangerous situation for anybody to fight him. Now let's get into what actually happened, right? So what actually happened was, I'd say between round 1 and 3, Boo Boo was doing a great job constantly turning David Benavidez, turning him, throw a jab, throw a body shot, turn him, just really keeping David Benavidez on his toes and making him miss and making him pay. Even at points in the fight where was actually muscling David Benavidez into the ropes and dirty boxing him on the inside, really giving him that work. And but the punches, unfortunately, the power wasn't there. It didn't translate the way I think Boo Boo wanted it to translate. He was unable to get the respect he needed from David Benavidez to slow that fight down into a pace to where he could set up the things he was trying to do. And he ultimately just ended up, reacting, just cause and effect. Just the big man walking down the little man, putting a lot of pressure on him, started connecting in the 4th round, really started connecting and ended up putting him down, honestly. And once he put him down, caught him with a straight right that you really literally saw Boo Boo's eyes roll in the back of his head. He got up from that as the warrior that he is, but it was the trajectory was already set in stone at that point. He was heading down. David could smell the blood in the water and was just walking him down. Ultimately, Boo Boo ends up succumbing and not being able to come back out in the 6th round, not being able to come back out to meet David Benavidez for a seventh round showdown. Really just his corner saved him. The referee also saved him, and I believe they made a great decision. Fights like that, when you're getting beat like that, where everything's connecting like that, could change you for the rest of your life. So shout out to Boo Boo Andrade being the warrior that he is. I thought it was a shame that it had to come down to something like this at 36 years old, also having to come in the ring and fight a young, prime, hungry, young bull in David Benavidez. Because he really should have had this opportunity a long time ago. Let's be honest. Ever since 154 pounds, he should have had the opportunities that he was looking for, and he should have been cementing his legacy then. So for him to have to do it today or yesterday in the way he did, and also in a weight class that wasn't his weight class, people don't understand that. Casuals don't understand that this man's really a 154-pounder who was already doing great things going up to 160. Him going to 168 was just a feat that was just too much for him, just too much for him to deal with, fighting the best 168-pounder out there, tall, strong, great cardio, relentless, a lot of volume of punches. He just succumbed to the inevitable, as some people would say. He really succumbed to the inevitable, and that he couldn't do anything about. I really don't know what Boo Boo could have done different than what he did. I thought he had a great approach and a great plan, but once again, once that power wasn't able to translate, he wasn't able to get the respect he needed to set up the shots that I'm sure had planned and been working out through the whole camp to execute. So respect to Boo Andrade, but David Benavidez proves to the world why he is who he is, and that you just can't walk up in there. Not anybody could just walk up in there and play with him. And most importantly, cemented his right, which I believe was cemented before this fight, but as far as his right to fight Canelo Alvarez for the undisputed title, Canelo Alvarez at this point really has no excuses at this point to not fight this man. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, I've been going around saying this, as far as I'm concerned, seeing David Benavidez up there with 3 WBC titles, 3 WBC interim titles, right, was just annoying within itself. So for me, David Benavidez is the WBC champion of the super middleweight division. Canelo Alvarez is no longer undisputed as far as I'm concerned. The books are going to say that he is, but I don't consider him to be undisputed. I'm sorry. I think if he really cares about being undisputed, I think he comes and tries to take his belt back from David Benavidez, who I believe has earned it. Either, come and get the belt or leave the division. But I heard he's even negotiating right now presently to fight Jaime Munguia. Listen, man, first of all, number one, Canelo's been on record to say that he will not fight any Mexicans. Newsflash, last time I checked, Jaime Munguia is Mexican. So if you're negotiating with him right now and you won't even fight your mandatory in David Benavidez, I think it's officially a duck. I'm willing to say it's a duck here on my platform. I'm willing to call it a duck. I can't see it as anything else. If you don't fight this man and you go fight Jaime Munguia, you're cherry picking and you're a duck. You're scared of David Benavidez at this point. The information is clear, and the ball has always been and it presently is and always been in Canelo Alvarez's court to make a decision on how he wants to approach this. But I think the world saw what they saw last night. We all know what we want to see. We want to see David Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez next before anything else. I don't want to see Canelo and anybody else. I mean, even though I am interested to see Canelo against Terrence Crawford, honestly, Terrence has to sit to the side, deal with Errol Spence, see how that works out first. But right now, presently, I don't see anybody more deserving of a fight for the undisputed than David Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez. So we'll see how that pans out, what the future of the super middleweight division is calling for. If maybe Canelo just vacates the belts, which I'll be honest with you, will still be a duck if he does that. So I don't advise him to do that. But if he does do that, I will give him the credit to say at least he's allowing the division to move forward. And we can start seeing some unification and some big fights happening in that super middleweight division, which has been on a straight standstill since Canelo Alvarez has got those belts. I mean, he's literally given a shot at Jamel Charlo to come up 2 weight classes to add a shot at those belts, and he gave a shot to John Ryder, who is I never heard of him guy. So he has to address the elephant in this room. He has to address the elephant in this room, and as fans, we should be demanding that we see him fight David Benavidez to the point to where if he's not going to fight David Benavidez, then we just need to go ahead and boycott him, push him out. The sanctioning bodies, WBC and all the other sanctioning bodies should also be holding him accountable for what he's supposed to be doing, and hold him accountable for what he is doing, which is holding up the division and refusing to fight the mandatories that are on his list. And that, that's pretty much how I feel about it. Other than that, though, the card was a great card from top to bottom. As I just explained to you guys, from top to bottom, it was a great card. In my opinion, probably the best card this year. Don't quote me yet. Let me look deeper into it. But I am right now on the surface level, just over top, just impulsively speaking, thinking it was the best card of the year. We'll see. We got 2 more cards going on this year. We have Ryan Garcia against Duarte next weekend, and then the following weekend we have Regis Prograis and Devin Haney fighting for the WBC junior middleweight belt. Right, so we'll see if Devin Haney's can back up all that talk he was saying. They all got on Shakur Stevens for the performance he had getting his WBC title. Well, fellas, you guys have an opportunity to show the world how it's done. Please show us how it's done. We'll be standing by to see that happen. All right. But on that note, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. I know I gave a lot in a little bit of time. Comment. Let me know what you think, man. What should David Benavidez's next fight be if it's not with Canelo Alvarez? And, if Canelo Alvarez isn't going to fight David Benavidez, where does that leave the division? And what should the sanctioning bodies be doing with Canelo Alvarez? Interested in your guys' perspective. Also, for Subriel, Matias, what's his next fight supposed to be on his journey as a champion right now? Who should he be giving a shot to? I already gave you my take on that. I think Richard Hitchinson is a prime candidate to challenge him for that belt. I think it's a different style than he's used to, as far as like, it's not going to be a slugfest. Richard Hitchinson's going to make him find him, and he's going to be outboxing him, trying his best to outboxing him and using his boxing skills, showcasing that control, that space control that he can do. And let's see how Surreal deals with that type of look, with somebody who's not just there for him to hit, somebody who's going to make him find him, and also can make him pay as well, has the ability to make him pay as well for all the times he misses. So let me know what you think. But until the next time, it is your boy Claymore Rain. This is A.T.P. Combat Media Presents. It's my show, all right? It's my platform. Thank you for showing up. Welcome to the platform. Look out for more content. And on that note, and at this point, we are out.